Hola chicos! Today we will be talking about the future tense. Now we've already learned one way to express the future tense in 7th grade, and that would be ir plus a plus infinitive, which technically states what you are going to do since you're using the verb ir. And as you've learned, you are going to conjugate the verb ir, you're going to put a in between, and then you're going to put an infinitive at the end. The infinitive being an unchanged form of a verb, a verb that doesn't have anything attached to it. For example, yo voy a hacer mi tarea, I'm going to do my homework. Voy is the conjugated verb, and then hacer is the infinitive. Tú vas a jugar baloncesto, you are going to play basketball. Usted va a preparar la cena, you are going to prepare dinner, and that's the formal you. Nosotros vamos a limpiar los platos, we are going to clean the dishes. Again, vamos is the ir form, conjugated, there's the a in the middle, and then the limpiar is your infinitive. Vosotros vais a comer desayuno, and ellos van a pasar la aspiradora. So if you look at these sentences, you'll see the ir is conjugated, there's an a in the middle, and then there is hacer after that. But there is another way to express the future tense. Now the future tense can be used in two ways. Before we get to actually how to conjugate it, you have to know this. Future tense, as we do in English, is used to indicate a future time. For example, yo hablaré con María mañana, I will talk to Maria tomorrow. So you're indicating it's something that's not happening now, it's happening that's in the future. You can also use it to indicate probability or conjecture in the present time, meaning where would someone be doing or what would they be doing. So in English, this expression is probably must, what do you think, such as if I was to say, ¿Dónde estará María? It would be like, where do you think Maria is right now? As opposed to literally the sentence is saying, where will Maria be? So it's our idea of saying, as a probability, based on what we know about Maria, where would she be? Now when you form this new future tense, you're going to be using the infinitive form of the verb, and then all the endings are the same for every single verb that we use. But the stem, or the root, is the infinitive of the verb. So technically all you're doing is taking the infinitive and tacking on one of these endings. So for the yo form, the ending is an e with an accent. The to form, the ending is as with an accent on the a. The el, ella, usted form is the accent on an a. Nosotros is emos, and there is no accent on this, please remember that. Vosotros is es, accent on the e, and ellos, ellos, ustedes is an with an accent on the a. And as I just stated, you need to note that every single one of these has an accent with the exception of the nosotros form. So now the future tense with AR verbs. If you were to take any AR verb, let's just take hablar, to talk, for example, this is how it would look when it was conjugated. You would be yo hablaré, so your hablar is your infinitive or your root, and then you're tacking on the e with an accent ending to make it the future tense. So the to form would be hablarás. The el, ella, usted form would be hablará. The nosotros is hablaremos. Vosotros hablaréis. Ellos, ellos, ustedes hablarán. Again, if you look, all it is taking the unchanged infinitive and tacking the ending on, which makes this type of future tense much, much easier to remember, as long as you remember the endings. Let's try another one. So if we do the future tense with ER verbs, it's going to be the same thing. We'll take comer, to eat, for example. Yo is going to be comeré. Tú, comerás. Él, ella, usted, comerá. Nosotros, comeremos. Vosotros, comeréis. And ellos, ellos, ustedes, comerán. You'll see the infinitive is comer. You're just tacking on your ending. All the endings that we learn, these 6, if you memorize these 6 endings, you can do the future tense with any verb you want to. And again, as we always state, you need to notice that all of them have accents with the exception of nosotros. Let's try it with an IR verb. We'll do escribir. The verb is escribir, so it would be escribiré, escribirás, escribirá, escribiremos, escribiréis, and escribirán. Escribe being your root, and then you're tacking on your ending based on who the subject is. As always, we have irregulars. So these following verbs do not follow the normal rules of just taking the infinitive and then tacking on the ending. You have to change the infinitive that little bit so that it makes more sense. So tener, you end up replacing the E with the D and it becomes tendré, and that means to have. Decir, which is to say or to tell, you end up dropping the E and the C out of it and it becomes dir, is your new root. Hacer is to do. You take out the C and the E, and the new root is ar. So if you were to use this, it would be yo haré instead of yo haceré. Or if you were to use decir, it would be yo diré, not yo deciré. Or yo tendré, not yo teneré. Saber becomes sabr, sabra, which means to know. Querer, you end up dropping the E out of it, and the R's double up, so it's quer. Salir, which is to leave or to go, ends up becoming salg. You replace the I with a D. Venir, again you replace the I with a D, becomes vendre, which means to come, like to come to a place. Poner, to put or to place something, is pondre, because you replace the E with a D. And then you're dropping the E out of poder, which is to be able to, and it becomes podre. Now these you must remember, these 9 verbs that are here are the only 9 irregulars you will have to know. If you memorize these, you know the endings, you can pretty much do any verb in the future tense. So let's try this with some examples. So if we have el próximo verano Juan blank de vacaciones and the verb is ir, you're going to take your root, or your infinitive, and you're going to tack on what ending for Juan. If you said just the letter A with an accent, you would be correct. So we would say Juan irá de vacaciones a Colombia. Let's try another one. En una semana, los atletas blank en la carrera de maratón. So the verb is correr. Think, is it regular or is it irregular? It ends up being that it is an irregular. So now we have to make correr agree with los atletas. What ending would you tack on? So the new verb would be correrán, because the an ending reflects that it's los atletas, and your infinitive is correr, so all you have to do is put those two pieces together. Yo te blank mañana. Now this one you have to think a minute for. Decir, is it irregular or regular? If you said irregular, you're correct. So you have to remember what's your new root. The new root would be dir. So we're dropping the ce and changing it to dir as our new root. And then you have to tack on the right ending that goes with yo. So the new answer would be diré. So nosotros blank a la biblioteca el lunes. Ir is a normal verb. So do we have to do anything else with it? No. Good. So our ending is, for nosotros should be hemos. So let's put those two things together. We have iremos. Este verano usted blank 2 meses en España. The verb pasar. Is pasar in our list of irregulars? No, it's not. So all we have to do is just tack on the ending for the usted, and that makes our verb conjugated. So the verb would be pasará, because it has to agree with the la usted form. En junio, mi hermano blank a visitarme. So venir. Venir, think. Is it on our list of irregulars, yes or no? If you answered yes, you're correct. Think close. What is our new root when we have the verb venir? The new root should be vendr, because we changed the I out for D. And now you have to just tack on the ending that goes with mi hermano, which would be, should be an A. So your new verb would be vendrá. To blank, la mesa después de preparar la cena. The verb is poner. Is poner on our list of irregulars, yes or no? And we find out that it is. So we end up taking the E and changing it out for a D. So our new root is P-O-N-D-R. And then you need to add on the correct ending for to, which is what again? It ends up being A-S, and it would be pondrás. And that's the end of our lesson. If you would like to do now, you may go do the worksheets for the next section of this unit. Adiós!